Hello everybody, welcome to my Poison Shred Build guide. So first off, I'm going to have with uniques, without uniques, I'm going to have a few different build variants in the description below, so make sure to check those out. Hopefully you can find one that fits your needs and where you are at in the game. So first off, what are you going to need to play Poison Shred Build? What does it take right off the bat? You need Aspect of the Blurred Beast. This is going to be the main thing. Keep in mind if you are on World Tiers 1 or 2, you really don't necessarily need Blurred Beast. You could run this without it and you'd be fine. I mean, really the shred leveling build that I posted is totally fine in World Tiers 1 and 2, but as you get into World Tier 3, you're going to really want to look for this Blurred Beast because it's really going to help amp up your damage so you can really start wrecking stuff. So like I said, so this is a uniqueless build. This is really the only main requirement is Aspect of the Blurred Beast. You can even, even though I have things like Aspect of the Alpha, which is another rare aspect, you don't have to have this one. This is something that I have just because I like it. You don't necessarily have to have this. There are ways to run this build, multiple ways to run this build in pretty much whatever situation you are in. So first off, let's go over the helmet. So I'm going ranks of Poison Creeper, Wolves, cooldown reduction, and then resistance because I need to shore up my resistances. The reason why I'm going Poison Creeper and Wolves, not just Poison Creeper, is because I am playing a companion version of this build. So if I was just going for a normal Poison Shred build, I'd probably just go for Poison Creeper and not worry so much ranks of Wolves if I wasn't trying to also use Wolves for a little bit of extra damage. So going something like Poison Creeper, percent total armor, cooldown reduction, and then max life would be pretty good. Next up, we are going to go Aspect of Disobedience. You gain 1.1% increased armor for 4 seconds when you deal any form of damage. So this plus the Aspect of Might we put on the helm just gives you really solid damage reduction. This applies to everything. This will apply only to physical attacks, but it's pretty solid. You're going to want to go quad damage reduction, so things like damage reduction while fortified, damage reduction from poisoned, damage reduction from distant, and damage reduction from close. Or you can drop the damage reduction from distant and get percent total armor, or vice versa, or whichever you want. You just want to make sure that you have armor and then a bunch of damage reductions on there. Max life really isn't, I don't really think is that great on armor. I think the damage reductions are just better. But yeah, so in the 66% armor increase is super nice for helping you stack armor to decrease how much physical damage you're taking. So next up we have Aspect of the Alpha. This turns your wolves into werewolf companions. Now you do not have to run this one. Like I said, you can just use the wolves as utility and as a way to increase your core skill damage, but I like my companions to do damage, or to at least do some type of damage. So I go ahead and run this. If you weren't running this, you could run something like Aspect of Retaliation or something like that. But anyways, you're going to want to go critical strike damage with werewolf skills, or attack speed, lucky hit, and then ranks of shred. Next up we have Tybalt's Will. So this is a unique for the specific way that I am playing this. However, like I said, you do not need this. This is not something you absolutely need. This is more of like a cherry on top that you can get later and switch over to this version. So we run Tybalt's Will because it is a 40% multiplicative damage increase in a defensive slot. So the way that we proc this is you have to become unstoppable to proc this, and it also gives you 50 of your resource back every time you become unstoppable. So if we come over here to our vampiric powers, you'll see we have Metamorphosis. When you evade, you turn into a cloud of bats, becoming unstoppable for 4 seconds. So every time you evade, you're going to get 50 resource back and a 40% multiplicative damage buff to everything. That's going to be to your companions, that's going to be to your Poison Creeper, and because of the way Aspect of the Blurred Beast works, by increasing your Poison Creeper damage, you're also increasing your Shred damage, and on top of by increasing your Shred damage, you're also increasing your Poison Creeper damage, right? It's a weird mix. You pretty much double dip on these multiplicative damage buffs that go to everything because of the way Poison Creeper, Shred, and Blurred Beast interact with each other, right? So it makes your damage just kind of go crazy. Yeah, but like I said, you don't have to have this. If you didn't have this, you could go with something like Aspect of Mending Stone that makes your Earthen Bulwark last longer, stuff like that. Totally fine. Just go quad damage reductions just like you would on your chest piece if you do not have this. And then also, if you do not have Tybalt's Will, you do not need to go Metamorphosis. I would actually recommend going a Cursed Touch because you need something that applies Vampiric Curse for your flowing veins. So if you're not running Tybalt's, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to run Metamorphosis unless you just like the access to Unstoppable, right? Because it does apply the Vampiric Curse, so it is still viable without Tybalt's, but I prefer the Curse Touch pre-Tybalt's. Anyway, moving right along. So now we have our aspect of the Craven Boots. So you gain 40% multiplicative increased movement speed when moving away from slowed or chilled enemies. This is pretty good because whenever we poison things, you'll see over here that it will slow them. So we can proc this increase to move speed quite a lot. Then we have 28% move speed for 4 seconds after killing an elite. I think just going regular movement speed is fine here too, but I didn't get it to roll for me, and I ended up running way too low on gold. Percent total armor while in werewolf form, and then the resistances. I think boots are going to be the best thing to roll resistances on. I think boots and then your helm are probably going to be the two best things to shore up your resistances on. However, if it's early on in the game, feel free to roll resistances on, your chest or your pants, whatever you need to hit that 70% if you're just getting into tier 3. Okay. Alright, moving right along. So we have the aspect of the Bored Beast. When it comes to the type of weapon, you want an axe because it has damage to healthy enemies, so it's going to help your one-shot power out a lot. After that, you're going to want critical strike damage with werewolf skills is good, damage over time is good, core skill damage is good, regular critical strike damage is good, willpower is also good. I think willpower is probably the main thing that you want on there. After that, it's really just find a mix of additive damage that goes with it. So core skill damage, damage over time, critical strike damage with werewolf skills are all good. On this one, the damage to injured enemies isn't really that great. I would rather it at least be damage to healthy enemies because you're really going for like big bursty kind of one-shotness with this kind of build, right? So the damage to injured enemies will help out a little bit, but it's not really my preference. I'd rather have like crit or something like that here, right? So this isn't really a perfect weapon. After that, moving right along to the amulet, you're going to want to have ranks to companion skills, ranks of Call of the Wild. After that, I think CDR is good. I think CDR is probably going to be the third best stat, and then in the last slot, you can really put whatever you want. You could put like damage reduction stat there, you could put movement speed, whatever. The main thing you need is ranks of Call of the Wild, ranks of Companion, and the reason why is because it increases your poison creeper damage so much, and because we're playing a Companion version, it also helps them out. But even if we were not playing the Companion version, you would still want Companions and Call of the Wild, because if you look at like Envenom, for example, which is what some people ran before, well, it's because of the crit changes again, it no longer increases a multiplicative damage multiplier. It's now just additive damage. So it's nowhere near as good as what it was last season, but this is multiplicative. So you're getting an additional 30% multiplicative damage buff to your poison creeper, which is way better. So if you're wondering why I'm not running like Envenom or something like that, that's why. It's just because the damage has changed, and the way the damage calculations work have changed in Season 2. After that, we're doing Shepherd's Aspect. So because we are running Companions, we have 4 Ravens here. We have 3 Wolves here. We have 2 Poison Creepers here. That's like for a whopping like 100 and some odd % damage, multiplicative damage increase while they're active. Now keep in mind when your wolves die, it does reduce the effectiveness of this. However, your ravens and your poison creeper are pretty much always up. So you're going to be getting like quite a lot of value out of these, but sometimes your wolves will die, and technically yes, that will decrease your damage because I believe these have to be alive to get this buff, but with the ravens and the poison creeper, it's definitely still worth it, and it's definitely giving you way more than something like Aspect of Retaliation would be giving you. Okay, now I am using X-Fall's Corroded Signet. You do not need this either. This is just a fun item. It also has cooldown reduction on it and lucky hit chance, and again, I know I've said this like 500 times already in this video, because crit and vuln got changed, it's not a big deal that it doesn't have critical strike damage or vuln. It does suck that it doesn't have critical strike chance. I wish the all stats was actually critical strike chance, but this really is not a bad ring. Going into Season 2, this really is, it has lucky hit, it has cooldown reduction, like it's pretty good. And it's going to make it to where your damage over time effects are going to have a chance to erupt, doing 40,000 damage of the same type to nearby enemies. So I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but when you think about like if I was to walk up and poison creeper a like a whole like pack of enemies, right? Let's say like 2 or 3 of them erupt. Well, now all of a sudden you're looking at like 120,000 damage. So, you know, not too bad. Moving right along, we have Aspect of the Stampede. So this is going to combo really well with Shepherd's Aspect. So when you combo this with Shepherd's Aspect, not only is this giving you like a 26% bonus to your Poison Creeper damage, which also buffs your Shred, but it also gives you 3 more companions, which is going to be 45% more multiplicative damage for your core skill, which is Shred, right? So this is actually insane in combination with Shepherd's Aspect. Okay, when it comes to the stats on this, you want critical strike chance, critical strike damage, poison damage, lucky hit chance. I mean, preferably, I think I'd rather change the poison damage over to like max life or something like that. I think is probably better, but it's not too bad. Don't think too much about it. I think lucky hit chance, crit chance, critical strike damage, and then like max life are going to be pretty good. When it comes to the gems, we're using damage reduction while fortified gems in the gear. We're using critical strike damage to crowd controlled enemies in the weapon, and then we're just using whatever you need to shore up your resistances. It could be any combination of gems. It just depends on you and what your gear setup is. Just put in whatever you need here to get your resistances up to 70%. Okay, Oakley Dokley, Spirit Boons real fast, Wariness, Scythe Talons, Avian Wrath. You can go any. You need to go Scythe Talons, but you can go any of these other 3 as the second. Pack Leader, and then Masochistic. So isn't really a whole lot, not really a whole lot of options here that are good that you would even want to take here. And again, this is really like the only option for this build in this last row. So yeah. Okay, Vampiric powers. So Coven's Fangs, this is going to give your Conjuration Companion, Minion, and Bat Familiar attacks 52% increased damage to crowd controlled enemies. So that's actually pretty good because it's going to increase your Poison Creeper damage, which again increases your Shred damage. Not only that, it also gives your companions a chance to inflict Vampiric Curse, which helps you with Flowing Veins, which is the next one you're going to have. So you deal 60% multiplicative increased damage over time to enemies that are moving or affected by a Vampiric Curse. We have the Metamorphosis that makes us unstoppable, inflicts things with Vampiric Curse, and combos well with Tybalt's Will. Feed the Coven. This is going to give us a 60% chance for our companions to give us 10 primary resource back and a 10% multiplicative damage buff, as well as Domination. You deal 24% increased damage to enemies who are stunned, immobilized, frozen, or feared, and if they are injured, they are going to be auto-executed or instantly killed. So not too bad, just another damage buff. If you are not running Metamorphosis, I would recommend something like a Cursed Touch or something like that. If you're running a Cronestaff version of this, which is totally fine, it's not something I'm doing mainly because of the Shred, and then because you would also want to have a bunch of points into all of your companions. It's kind of hard to run Cronestaff, and the other issue with running Cronestaff in this build, I will have a version of a Cronestaff version in the description if you like it, is 1, it means you have to find a unique. And 2, you actually lose an absolute ton of damage by running Cronestaff, right? So you're going to end up losing X Falls, or you're going to end up losing Aspect of the Alpha, or something like that, because if you give up Shepherd's Aspect, you're losing a ton of damage to your Shred, which you can't really do. So like it puts you into this weird spot. Not only that, you would lose 50% because you'd have to move Blurred Beast over to your necklace. And if you did that, then you'd be losing 50% damage on your Blurred Beast, and then you'd be losing 50% of the damage of your Shepherd's Aspect. So you just end up losing, I think I did the math, like by running a Cronestaff, I think you lose like 120% multiplicative damage, and I don't really think it's worth it for the Poison Shred Druid. I will have a version of it that does run Cronestaff, however, that's definitely, so if you are into the Cronestaff and you just like having resets all the time, like I do, you'll definitely probably like that, but it's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be like the highest damage version, but it will be a very smooth and more functional version that has way less downtime on your Poison Creeper CD. Okay, moving right along, we have Claw, Enhanced Claw, Wild Claw. We do use Claw because it has the highest lucky hit chance, so it's going to give us a better chance at resetting our Pack Leader, or getting a Pack Leader reset. After that, we are going to be going Shred, Enhanced Shred, Primal Shred. It makes your second and third attacks also do a dash. This is important for the uptime or I guess this is important for making sure you're consistently proccing Blurred Beast, and the critical strike damage increase is, while it is still technically additive, it's increasing your additive crit damage by a multiplicative of 30%, so that's still pretty decent. Okay, then we have Predatory Instincts. A critical strike chance against close enemies is 6%. We're going to go Heart of the Wild. Wild Impulses, a 15% increased damage to core skills. Come down here, take Earthen Bulwark, Enhanced Earthen Bulwark, and Preserving Earthen Bulwark. This is going to be a decent way to generate Fortify. Ancestral Fortitude to give us 15% all resists. Then I'm going to max out Wolves, Enhanced Wolfpack, Ferocious Wolfpack. Because of the changes to Fortify for the Druid, it makes Fortify go off of your max life now instead of your base life. So you're going to find your Wolves are going to keep you fortified way more than they did in the past. So Poison Creeper, Enhanced Poison Creeper, Ferocious Poison Creeper. Poison Creeper's active poisoning duration is increased by 3 seconds. This doubles the damage of your Poison Creeper, so 80, 163, so you've got to take this one. Then we have Ravens, Enhanced Ravens, and Brutal Ravens. So this makes 2 additional Ravens attack, which gives us 30% more damage to our core skills with Shepherds. So that's why we want to take this. And it increases the damage of the passive, because they actually buffed Ravens by quite a lot. Now this isn't the full damage it does, because until we walk outside of town, it's not going to do all the calculations. But yeah, if you look here, it says it does 103% damage on the passive, compared to the Wolves that only do 40% damage on the passive. So yeah. And then the Poison Creeper does 130% damage on the passive. And then Call of the Wild. Come down here, pick up Neurotoxin, Toxic Claws, Envenom. So they actually made rabies spreading 50% faster part of the base. So now, like, putting points into this, I don't really think is necessarily worth it. However, if you are going like a pure poison shred build, where even if you are still going the companions to increase the damage, but you're not relying on them for damage, so you only have like 1 point in them, for example, I think going rabies would be fine. I think going rabies wouldn't be too bad. Okay, so moving on. Well, that's assuming you're still going aspect of the alpha to just spread rabies easily. Then we're going to go quick shift. So when shape shifting, because we are using companion skills, we're going to go in and out of wolf form a lot. So we'll be able to quick shift and get 15% more damage from our shape shifting skill. And then Lupine Ferocity. Every 6 werewolf skill hit critically strikes and deals 70% increased damage. Increased to 140% against injured enemies. So really, really big. When things do get injured, you will typically see a pretty big hits once things get below 35%. Okay, so that is that. When it comes to the Paragon, because I'm not level 100 yet, I'm just going to talk about like the glyphs that you want to run. I'll have a full Paragon tree inside of the actual builds themselves, so you guys can just go look at that when it comes to the Paragon tree, because I actually need to redo my Paragon tree. I don't think what I have here is totally efficient. It's just the way that I went about it specifically as I was leveling up. So we go exploit. You don't really need to level this up a whole lot because it doesn't do a whole lot comparatively to other things. Like spending points to do this, you get 2% increased damage to vulnerable targets. So it's not particularly great compared to the other ones. Like I think Tracker does quite a bit more. Wilds does quite a bit more. So this is going to be one of the ones you want to level up last. You do want to take it for the set and get this additional bonus, because this makes it to where you can apply vulnerable a lot easier. So you still want to take it, but this is going to probably end up being like one of the last ones you level up. After that, you're going to want to really try to get over and take Wilds. That's going to be the first thing. This is going to increase your companion skill damage by a lot, and on top of increasing the passive portion of their damage by 80% multiplicatively. Then we have Tracker. This is going to make your poisoning damage effects last 33% longer, which is pretty good because that affects our Poison Creeper damage by quite a lot. Heightened Malice is pretty good. Then we're going to come up here. You're going to want to take Spirit. So Spirit, this is pretty good even though they nerfed crit, because one, it gives you a 12% multiplicative damage buff because of the additional bonus, and it actually just like once you get this up to like 21, you'll have like 130% critical strike damage, which is actually a decent bit higher than what the other ones are. So like you actually do just get more additive damage on top of a multiplicative bonus, so it's still worth it to take Spirit, I think. Bane, it's going to be another good one. It's going to increase how much poison damage you do. and then it's also going to give your poisoning damage effects a 10% chance to deal double the amount of damage over the duration. So whenever you hit that proc, you are going to see a, like, if you hit a Bane like overpower crit, oh, you will do so much damage, and it's just going to come right out of nowhere. Taking things like Lust for Carnage is good, Heightened Malice is good. Yeah, but I would say one thing to note about Poison Shred Druid is a lot of the power does come from glyphs, so don't be surprised if you see like bigger spikes in your damage from these glyphs more so than anything else. But yeah, so that's going to do it for the actual build. I'm going to go ahead and just hop on into a Nightmare Dungeon just to kind of show you how the build works. Alright, Lubin's Rest, tier 41. So, whoop, just do this. Bam, you can see there. It's going to be kind of the main part of the build. Then once all your abilities are on CD, you're just going to want to start clawing things until you either get a reset, and then hold on, you're going to walk up. So we're going to do that. Bam, and then you can see there. You want to make sure that you evade to become unstoppable for a second, and then do your combo, right? So, not too bad. Not too bad at all. Oh, also, if I did not mention it, taking the extra evade charges on your boots is definitely like way better than taking like the extra movement speed, for example. So, walk up here. Bam. Yeah, everything's actually just kind of dying to the Poison Creeper damage. Okay, not too bad. So then we're just going to claw. We're just going to claw until we get our stuff back. Whether it be a reset or it just comes off cooldown naturally. Okay. I want to find another elite pack. And you can see that even without Blurred Beast, like, your shred does pretty decent damage. Bam. Hold on, we're gonna do this, and then okay. Yeah, so I mean, honestly, I might have this tuned down a little too low. I'm like pretty much almost, yeah, that right there, and you can see the X falls, right, just kind of popping the F off right there. Yeah. See the X falls, and you can also see the you know, the Unleashed Souls and stuff like that kind of popping off. Alright, let's go here. The Unleashed Souls are freaking intense though, that sound they make when they go off. Okay. Bam, bam. Alright, we keep on moving on. Trying to hold up my Poison Creeper just for a bigger group here. That you can see there. Not too bad. As you level up, your hits will be bigger and bigger. I will say this though. Unfortunately, with the crit changes, I will say I think the damage did go down a little bit because this is kind of a crit-based build. However, it's still not bad. Still pretty solid. You'll still have quite a lot of fun with it. And you can still hit some pretty decent crits. Like, I've done like 10 million crits and stuff like that. But I don't think it's like what it was. But we'll see how it is at level 100. Once I get everything, because I am still missing quite a lot of things for it. And then here. And you can see even the wolves right there did a decent amount of damage. Like, they pretty much just one-shot that elite. So, just keep in mind that because of the extra like 100 item levels and stuff like that, it's made companions quite a lot better, I think. Because they just have a lot of extra item power to work with. So pretty much all of like the worst builds got brought up by that change, I think. Alright, let's go. Destroy the sentinel statues. Can do. What do we got here? Protection shrine. Alright. That and bam. Oh, I hit that guy for 5 million. That's not bad. Not bad. Not bad. And if you're wondering how I farmed like all the gear, it's just doing Uber bosses. I've done Duriel, I've done Varshan, I've done them all. Once I go farm up some more parts, I'll make a video on how to do Duriel with this build. Because I'm fairly certain that you can do really any of the Ubers with this build. I've done Varshan pretty easily, done Gregor, done Lord Zir. I think Duriel's the only one I haven't tried solo yet, but that's just because I've been playing with friends a decent amount. But I would imagine it won't be too bad. Okay, keep on going. Oh. I think I missed. Oh, derp. Nope. I just killed them all through the damage resistance. I was like, why are they not taking that much damage? Oh, it's because they actually are taking a ton of damage. They just have damage resistance on. Because I pretty much killed them without. Oh, all right. I can't even. I'm not even able to shred here. I am not even able to shred here. What the heck? Okay. Alright, not bad, not bad. And you can see here I'm like constantly keeping myself at full resource because of that Tybalt's. Like, Tybalt's is just so crazy I think. Oh. So you can just kill him with companion stuff. Get him, companions. Get him. Get him. Get him. Get him. Yeah. And then once I actually make the Zoo Druid build, that'll be fun. Because I think I should be able to run Tybalt's and the Godslayer crown in that. So that'll be fun. That'll be fun to try out. But I gotta level up a bunch of glyphs and stuff until then. Okay. You can see I'm staying fortified a decent amount of the time. Okay. Okay, not too bad. Alright, let's... Oh. God, this Tybalt's will is crazy, though. Definitely one of the... Probably... it might be the best unique they added. Alright, so here we go. We got a boss. Wait for it. We want to do this, so we want to do this. Oh. That. This. Oh. And it's gone. And we're going to go ahead and put that into a money market account for you. And it's gone. It's gone. Alright, you know what? I think for the hex of it, we're going to go see if we can one-shot Varshan too. So stay tuned for that. Why not? Alrighty, let's give this the old shot here. It should be pretty easy, but it's only gonna be level 75, but just to kind of show you what happens, especially once you get like all the gear together. So do this, we go with that, oh, and then, oh, shouldn't be too bad. Yep. I mean, honestly, if it's like you don't even really have to think about like the mechanics and stuff like that once you get to a certain point. I don't know, let me just freaking throw one of these away. I don't need that. But yeah, not too bad. But anyway, so this is a shred build. It's pretty much capable of doing really whatever content. I mean, if you're doing things like Uber Lilith or something like that, you're going to want to have like really good gear, but you know, this thing should be capable of doing Duriel and really any boss with enough gear. So thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe if you want to see more. I'll see you next time. Thanks.